Y'all ready for this?
Indie Soul Rhythms is your home for global independent soul and R&B, featuring exclusive artist interviews, curated playlists, and deep connections from London to LA. Subscribe and join the rhythm.
All I can say is gee whiz.
Hey everybody, today we're joined by Collin Gibson from Milwaukee, grassroots to global stages. He's never walked a straight line. He's carved his own. Once known as NDB, a name attached to crowd-pleasing anthems like Cuffing, Gibson's artistic evolution has nothing short of revolutionary. With the release of his 13th full-length album, The Golden Era, he returns not only to his musical roots, but to the foundation heartbeat of hip-hop itself. Collin, welcome to Indie Soul Rhythms.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. So in this conversation, we're going to dive into Collin's creative journey from the death of NDB to the rise of an artist committed to purpose, passion, and pushing the genre forward. So we're going to, go back to the time when NDB died and Collin Gibson was born. How did that transformation shape your artistic path, and how does the golden era reflect where you are now?
I think NDB was a mask for me. That was me kind of doing what I felt like people wanted to hear, and I always, kind of walked my own path, but I would still find myself trying to make things that were specific to that time and that moment and whoever's in front of me or who I knew that I had a meeting with. And when I decided to kill off that name, it was also just a rough time in life too. So it had multiple symbols, but it was time for me to just be born again and go back to just being me. So that was kind of the beginning of that, and I felt a lot more freedom to just create really whatever was on my mind, whatever inspired me. I started writing more, R&B songs, and I wrote, rock songs, and I just wrote whatever came to my heart, and I started just kind of putting it all together from there. So that was just the beginning of me just being comfortable with myself.
Yeah, you talked about being born again. When did that happen?
That was in 2010.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And funny enough, you're not the first artist. This is my second interview today, and the artist I was interviewing earlier on also had a transition from secular to and they're doing gospel music now. So it's amazing. So you've done 13 projects, and you've clearly never been afraid of reinvention. What did this album unlock in you that previous projects didn't?
I think, like I said, I changed my name back in 2010. So I've been doing this for a long time. I think that this was me finally just being comfortable with being where I'm at in life and how it mixed with my music. So, not trying to sound like one of these young rappers, but also being confident enough to know, hey, look, I can stand on the stage with any one of them, or you can put my music next to any one of them, and it'll stand the test of time with theirs. So it was just being me at this age, where I'm at in life, a family man, kids, real job, taxes paid, credit good, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I get it. It's about being authentic, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So the golden era and its musical influences, you grew up on legends like Outkast, Blackstar, and UGK. What was it about the 90s era of hip hop that resonated so deeply with you?
I think there was so much for everybody. There were so many options of music. There was just, whatever your flavor was. If you like West Coast gangster rap, you had, music that was on the radio. If you liked rap that was more mainstream, or, we like to call it the shiny suit era back then. Hey, look, there was music for that. If you liked their super lyricism, you had your music for that. And all of that stuff was playing on the radio all at the same time. And with me being from Milwaukee, for anybody who doesn't know, where it's situated, it's in the north central part of the United States. But what happened was we're surrounded on three sides by, or really, three or four sides by all these different types of music and different parts of the hip hop culture. So our radio was playing, you know, Blackstar at the same time as they were playing Bun B and UGK, at the same time as they were playing Ice Cube, at the same time as they were playing Puff Daddy, and all these things were all on the radio all at the same time. So I got my pick of the litter. I wasn't just exposed to one thing,
Yeah.
and it shows in the album. The album really pulls from all of my favorite parts of that time and kind of recreates it with a little bit of a new twist to it.
I must say that this album feels it feels personal. How do you balance nostalgia with originality in the studio?
That's a great question. I mean, I think that if you're authentically yourself, it's going to be original because we're all so different. We can hear or see or taste or smell or we can have the exact same experience and get something different from it. I can smell something and say, "Oh man, that smells great," and somebody else is gonna be like, "That's disgusting." And it's the same thing with music. Is that if you're just being yourself and really tuning into the things that you like to hear, uh, it's gonna be original. But the good thing about that is that there's somebody out there that's gonna like what you have. So if you just stay original, there's gonna be somebody that gravitates to it. You just got to find your people.
So from this new album, The Golden Era, is there one particular track that's your favorite?
Black Ice. Black Ice is it's between Black Ice and Young Black Plug for different reasons. Black Ice is that's got my mother on there, and that's the
Yeah.
first time that me and my mom were able to collaborate on some music. So that one is special, and it's just a dope song. It rides. And then Young Black Plug, I just like it because it's kind of the I guess the thesis of the album is, hey, look, this we grown, we're successful, we're chasing more success, we're enjoying life and just taking care of our obligations, and that's kind of what Young Black Plug feels like.
Amazing. And I really admired the fact that you collaborated with your mom on Black Ice. What was it
Mhm.
like collaborating with her, and especially with someone with her legacy?
It was fun. It was fun. We had a great time doing it. She was a little bit hesitant on it because my mother she's been a live performing artist. She did it for years, and she's had exponentially more success than I've ever had doing the
Yeah.
same thing that I'm trying to do. But she wasn't a recording artist. So everything she did was live, meaning you get the feedback of the crowd. You can
Yeah.
feed off of that, get the energy from the band. So when you get in the studio, it's a different feel, and you got to kind of transport yourself to that. Um, Luckily, me and my wife were in the studio with her, and we're guiding her through it and coaching her through it. And we're pretty good at kind of pulling the best out of people when it comes to sitting down with artists and working with them. So she got on there, and a couple takes in, she started getting loose, and before you know it, we got a good product.
So in terms of the production of this album, is it self-produced or you had other people collaborating with you in terms of producing songs?
Oh yeah, no, it's not self-produced. I do produce as well, but I don't nearly get into the beat making the way that I used to. I think that one of the bigger things and most important things about growing up is understanding what your absolute strengths are and
Yeah.
where you can find somebody who can do it better. So I was pretty good at making beats, but there's some guys out there that are absolutely extraordinary. So I got a lot of my production from a producer named Epic the Dawn. He's a guy that's actually out of Atlanta, but he puts a lot of his music online, and you can lease it and use it for commercial purposes. And when I go through his music, it almost always fits with how I feel. So I kind of lean towards him. But then there's a couple of other producers on the project as well. I got a good friend named Mellow Dope that I've been working with for years. Him and I actually did it together a couple of years ago. Um, but on this project, he's got one track on there. Of other producers that I
Right. So can you break down the creative process behind Black Eyes? Where did it start and how did it evolve?
Black Eyes actually started with my wife. My wife heard the beat, and she actually wrote the chorus pretty quickly and sent it to me. She said, "I got something for you." And I heard it and I loved it. So I wrote it, and I can write at any time, and I write super quickly. Like people who come to the studio with me sometimes get frustrated because I can have a whole song done before they're done with half of their verse. But again, it just goes to just saying what I feel, and making it, I can make it sound good, but I say what's on my mind, and I don't really go back and do a whole bunch of editing. Whatever's there is there. But she wrote the chorus, I wrote the verses, and we recorded it, and it was a complete song. And then she said, you know what? I think this might be good to get your mom on instead. She said, look, we'll have her sing the chorus over. So we coached her through it. She already had the reference track for it, and that's how we made the song though. So it started with Carrie, and then it just kind of snowballed into a great track.
Yeah, for the benefit of our listeners, Colin's wife is Carrie L. We had her on the show a couple of months ago, and we've managed to get one of her tracks on the UK soul charts, and
Hmm.
starting to do well. A track called "Move Over," and I know
Hmm.
both of you have been collaborating on each other's albums. One thing that really fascinated me was that both of you dropped albums roughly on the same day. She
On Yeah,
dropped
on
the
the same day.
album, and you dropped your album, and
Hmm.
it, I just found that quite amazing that these are full albums. We're not talking about singles, full albums and quality albums. The music is absolutely quality. So this album here, we're talking about today, is packed with storytelling. Was
Hmm.
there a particular song that challenged you emotionally or technically more than the others?
Um, Different songs can be challenging for different reasons. Sometimes it's just trying to get the story right. Sometimes we do all of our mixing and mastering and our recording and everything ourselves. So a lot of times I hear it in my head and I know how it's supposed to sound, but it's not quite right yet. And how do I get that exactly right, or get that feeling across that I want to give across? If it was just as far as on a writing and kind of just lyrical challenge, the most challenging one was probably Rush Hour, which is it's a simple song. It's so simple, but sometimes being simple is very difficult. It's hard to balance simplicity with still giving that creativity and that artistry, and it doesn't sound lazy. So that one was a little difficult. And the song Rush Hour is basically a song about me getting off of work, and I'm on my way home, and I'm talking to my wife, and I'm telling her, hey, I'm gonna go out with my friends, and how's your day been, and things like that. And she's telling me how her day's been. And throughout the course of the song, we both come to the conclusion that we don't want to go anywhere. Like, you know what, we're just gonna stay at home. It's a simple song
Yeah.
that resonates with people who are, just regular people. We work, and I'd plan to go somewhere, but you know what? I just feel like staying home with you right now. I don't want to do anything else. So taking that song, and it almost didn't make the album because I couldn't get the words exactly how I wanted it, and I couldn't get the mix how I wanted it. But I just sat down. I said, this, if I leave it off, it's gonna be missing. Like it's gonna make something, it's gonna leave a hole in the album where it needed something that was more grounded. So I had to buckle down and get it right.
Amazing, amazing. Um, so like, in terms of hip hop, it's always been like a voice for the unheard. What conversations were you hoping to spark through Golden Era?
Really just the conversation about, what constitutes music that deserves to be on the radio. Does it all have to sound the same, or does it just have to be high quality? Um, you know, I don't want to try to replicate what the younger generation is doing. That's their thing, and they're killing it, a lot of them. So I want them to have that, but I also know that there is a market for what the generation that came before them, what we were used to listening to, that's been missing for so long. That obviously there's a market for it. That's why artists like Kendrick are coming back out. That's why artists like J. Cole do so well. That's why a lot of these older artists are still releasing albums and getting a lot of exposure. You got Nas dropping albums multiple times a year. We just had Snoop Dogg drop an album. These are people who have been rapping since the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
So the fact that they still have people checking for their music, and they're still making music at a high level. Busta Rhymes just dropped the album not too long ago. That was great. So if there's a market for them, there's a market for me.
That's true. That's true. And when I listened to Golden Era, it felt like it was a love letter to the past. But what did you hope
Mhm.
its legacy will be for the next generation of artists?
I mean, whoever hears it, I hope they just are inspired by it and they feel free to just be themselves and they feel okay with, you know, like being comfortable that there's more than one way to skin a cat. That's all right. We don't all have to do it the same way. And then also, there's I just want people to look at me and say, hey, look, if you want to keep doing it, if you enjoy doing it, if you're still doing it at a high level, there's no reason to stop. Uh, you know, Hip hop seems like a young man's game, but again, you got a lot of these guys that have been doing it for a long time and they're still out touring and making a lot of money making music and being creative. So hey, look, if you still got it in you and you still got the passion for it, keep going for it.
That's true. So if you could play this album for your younger self, back in the day of cuffing, what
Hmm.
what would you think you'd say at that age listening to this album?
Oh, I'd probably say it's fire. I'd be like, man, I didn't realize that you could do it like that, Because I mean, that was one of those. That was a time in my life where I had started to really experiment a lot with what I was doing and what I was presenting to the world. So, just seeing that I'm continuing to do that, continuing to push the envelope, I'd be happy with myself. I'd say I was goals.
Yeah, just to wrap up, I've just got a couple of fun questions, lighthearted personal moments. Uh, you can give a one word answer or a short response.
Hmm.
First song you ever memorized word for word.
Probably can't touch this. And
Yeah,
look, if the grays in the beard don't give it away, that should.
yeah. I remember when that came out. Yeah,
That's the jam, man. That's the jam. I knew that word for word.
yeah. And who's your musical Mount Rushmore top four voices of all time?
Uh, are we talking about just across all genres, or are we talking hip hop?
Across all genres.
Oh my God, that's almost an impossible question. I mean, if you're talking about just singing ability, you got to have Whitney Houston on there.
Yep,
Absolute star power is Michael Jackson.
yep,
Um, Longevity and relevance would probably go to Jay-Z just because he's all these years later still
yep.
regarded as somebody who could step onto a track at any moment and kill it. Um, let's see. What am I missing? Who would I? Oh, and then just absolutely being themselves and being creative and unapologetic. Andre 3000.
Oh yeah,
Not letting anybody tell him what he can and cannot do,
yes,
when he
yeah.
can and cannot do it. Yeah, that's it.
I agree 100%.
Hmm.
Any hidden talent people would be surprised to know you have?
Uh, I got a few of them, man. I've lived several lives. I used to be a ski tour guide, so most people don't know that. I was a ski tour guide when I was in the army.
Right.
Um, I'm real handy, good with a computer. I've written 2 books. I got I got a few things under my belt.
Wow, I
As a
didn't
matter
know
of fact,
about.
speaking of the books, yeah, speaking of the books, I
Yeah.
need anybody who's watching this and listening to go to echoesofthedivide.com, or if you look at Echoes of the Divide on Instagram, it has the first 2 books out of a 3-part series. But yeah, I started writing books, and this one is a political thriller about. It's very kind of like parallel to what's going on right now in the world, but if you add a little bit more of a kind of sci-fi twist to it.
I'll definitely check it out. I'll definitely check it out.
Hmm.
It was such a pleasure
Thank you.
having you on, and thank you for taking time to chat to us and sharing a bit of, of your life with us. But before we let you go, we're gonna ask you to do us an honor of introducing Black Eyes to our listeners.
Oh, absolutely. Look, it'll be my pleasure. So I hopefully y'all enjoy it. This is going to be Black Ice. It is featuring Melody Wynn, my mother. It's a ride and jam, and I hope y'all like it. Learn the lyrics, share it. The video is out on YouTube, so you can go to Collin Gibson Vivo, or you can go to Collin Gibson Music on YouTube, and you'll be able to find the video and watch that and tell me what you think. Like, share, comment. I'll comment back. We'll have a conversation.
Amazing. Thank you so much.